Good morning, class. My name is Stephanie Bianco, and I will be your instructor for curriculum planning and design. I'd like to begin this course with a short presentation about some of the teaching strategies for curriculum planning and design that we will discuss in this course. I will present a brief comparison of various instructional design models that we will expand on at a later time. First, I'd like to talk to you about the importance of effective learning. By definition of effective learning, effective learners have gained an understanding of individual and social processes necessary to become effective learners. It is the monitoring and reviewing of learning to see whether strategies are effective. Some of the outcomes of effective learning are that outcomers develop higher order skills. They have interpersonal and management skills. They improve communication skills. They are positive multi-ethnic relation. They have positive multi-ethnic relations. They are more directed and collaborative. They are more reflective, strategic, and versatile. Some of the characteristics of an effective learner are that they are active and strategic. They are skilled in cooperation, dialogue, and creating knowledge with others. They are able to develop goals and plans, and they can monitor his or her own learning. And they are versatile across many contexts of learning. So now that we understand some of the importance of effective learning, we're going to discuss some of the teaching strategies for curriculum planning and design. So instructional strategy, hang on, let me go back here. Okay, so we're talking about teaching strategies for curriculum and design. And the first one we're going to talk about is instructional. Okay, so instructional strategy is the overall plan for a teaching learning experience that involves the use of one or several methods of instruction to achieve the desired learning outcomes, which is effective learning. So there are many teaching strategies for the curriculum planning and design. Some of the methods that you can see here are lecture, which is a type of discussion given by the teacher and or instructor, which is sort of like what I'm doing now. You can also have group discussion, which the different members of the learning group participate with the instructor and discuss different items of the learning experience. You also can have a one-to-one discussion, which is normally what you would see is, for instance, a nurse would speak one-to-one with a patient and give one-to-one instruction, maybe on diabetic teaching or something, discharge instructions. You also have demonstration and return demonstration. An example for this may be if a nursing student and a teacher are in a clinical situation, the instructor may demonstrate something and the nursing student will return that demonstration. It's usually used for skills that they're learning in the real world. Another option is gaming. Gaming uses critical thinking, problem solving, in a competitive way. It allows for the group to recall information and helps to reinforce some of the things that have been learned. Simulation is meant to be a learning experience by trial and error. A situation may be given to participants who must act out a scenario and react to a situation that they would imagine that would happen according to those instructions. There's also role playing, which after maybe a lecture discussion, people can get into groups, do some role playing about the information that's been given so that they can sort of see how people would react in that situation. Role modeling is an example could be a charge nurse on a unit may perform or act in a certain way in which they would want their other nurses to act, so that the nurses that are under the charge nurse may be learning from her behaviors and her actions. And this is a great way for leaders to teach the people that are under them. And then there's self-instruction. Self-instruction is much like what online learners do. There is some activities given, and they're required to complete those activities on their own according to some readings, and provide different papers or activities like what we're doing here today. So these are some of the different examples of teaching strategies that planners can use to develop their teaching. So the selection of which methods that are used are dependent on the audience, what their needs are, what their skills are of the instructor, and objectives of the learning experience. And whatever the available resources are, like the location and the cost. So finally, I'd like to present to you 3 instructional design models and present a brief comparison to each of them. These 3 methods I will discuss are the Universal Design Learning Method, the ADDIE method, and the interactive model. Each learner brings their own background, strengths, and needs and interests to the table, and curriculum should provide genuine learning opportunities for each and every student. So with that said, let's talk about the Universal Design Learning Method. There are 3 principles that are covered in this design learning method. The first principle is to provide multiple means of representation. This is the what of learning, and it usually incorporates many types of visual. Each learner is different in the way they learn. Not everyone learns the same way. So we want to provide different means of learning. We talk about visual learners, auditory learners, or readers. So these are 3 different methods that we can use to present material. And if we use multiple ways, then people are more likely to retain more information. The next principle is to provide multiple means of action and expression. This is the how of learning. Most people learn in different ways as far as writing and speech. So someone might be a great speaker, but someone else may be a better writer. So those are 2 different ways of providing multiple means of action and expression. And the third principle is providing multiple means of engagement. This is the why of learning. And there are many things that motivate a person to learn and sustain their attention. So as an instructor, you want to provide different ways for a person to express themselves. The next model that I'd like to discuss is the ADDIE method, interactive design model. There are 5 clinical phases of the ADDIE model. The first is analyze. In analyzing, we discover resources, define goals and the learning environment, and the learner's existing knowledge is identified. In the design stage, it is a systematic and specific way of dealing with learning objectives. The lesson plan media selection, for instance, assessment instruments, all these are selected. Oops, sorry, let me go back. In the development phase of the ADDIE method, there's an assembly of content. You may create storyboards, graphics, content is written, and you can integrate technology at this point if you'd like to. The fourth phase is implementation. Here we want to develop the procedure for training facilitators and learners. So we're going to put everything out there for them. And in the fifth phase, we evaluate. It can be a formative evaluation, which happens at each stage of the process, or it could be a summative evaluation in which feedback is given from the users at the end. There will be a measurement of results, and you would revise the course as needed. The next instructional design method is the interactive model of program planning. In this model, there are 5 areas of foundational knowledge, which are technology, adult learning, cultural differences, relationship building, and power and interest. Under these 5 areas of foundational knowledge, there are 11 components, which are support, context, evaluation, scheduling, details, the needs of assessment, a learning transfer, budgets, marketing, goals and objectives, and instruction. There are 4 major differences from this model compared to some other models. Some are similar. One of the differences is that there's no real beginning or ending to this model. It's not a linear step-by-step process like the ADDIE model. It can be used in any order and in any combination. Second, it is a people activity that is negotiated between all stakeholders, which means to me that you can adjust any of these components to the type of student that you're teaching. The third difference is that the interactive nature of this model takes into consideration differences among all people. People come from different backgrounds, they have different levels of knowledge, and you can incorporate all of that into this model. The fourth difference from other models is that it's found to be a very useful and practical tool. It's very specific and descriptive, and it mirrors how program planners practice in the real world. It's adaptable to specific contexts of both new and experienced planners. So it's good for use by the novice and the experienced planner. So there are many models of program planning to choose from, and one just has to find the one that suits the situation and use it as a guide. I'd like to thank you for your time. Have a great evening.